So with a new Hacky build, one of the things I'm looking to do is two things. One is to improve the front suspension. At the moment it's all a bit stiff and a bit heavy, and as we move around the back, again, is the rear is quite heavy. That's partly because I changed from a foot design to the design you can see at the moment of the face design for the brackets to hold the motors, and that's sort of added in extra weight that doesn't need to be there. If we just flick it over, we can see what this means underneath. Now we can see here the underside of a Hacky, and if we just pan down, these are the wishbones that I built for the Hacky, and those are the hubs. And overall it's pretty robust, but you can see there's quite a lot of steel there. So I've made the best attempt I can to sort of drill it out, take weight out, but it's still quite a chunky beast. So one of the things I want to do is improve that design. The geometry works well, but the weight doesn't. So I want to improve that design. As you can see here, these are the speed controllers and lots of spare wiring underneath on those. Those again work well, but in reality they're quite a distance from the motors, and that in itself doesn't cause problems, but it's still quite a way. And there you've got the underside as well, showing the split axle which has the two motors. So pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with the way that the seat drops down so that you can keep the weight, the driver, as low as possible. So a few things to improve on. So what does the new design look like in practice? Well, you can see here, this is the back end. I've made it out of that rear axle assembly, which was going to have suspension, but I decided really rear suspension was not a thing that I needed. You see a motor there. Now there's not a lot of extra steel work in there. There's a few brackets which are on there, still the old brackets for the shock absorbers. I'm going to leave those. They might be useful for mounting Moxie or something in the future. And you can see there's a strengthening plate which gives a rigidity to the back. It's welded all along, and underneath those motors, just one is on there at the moment, is going to be the speed controllers. So the wiring becomes much shorter for those. Yes, there's more power wiring needed from the battery location, but overall I'm going to be happier with that. Let's move along. I've got a piece of angle line at the moment just denoting where the seat will be. That's helping me package the batteries. The batteries are going to move to that gap there. Now that's something that is causing a bit of a problem in that I could do with really another 2 centimeters to really get the seat where I wanted it exactly. What it means is just going to have a slightly smaller battery box. The battery box at the moment is a cash box. It's a 10-inch cash box, which is great, but ultimately it's just a bit too wide. Move along. This is the area what is going to take the most. Now at the moment there is a solid single beam axle, just for really reference. I was toying with the idea of doing that on this build, but really struggling to get to a point where I'm happy with the way to control a single beam. You can use sort of taking the sort of Land Rover Defender, the sort of C-spanner design, and a Panhard rod or Watts link. That all works well, but again it's weight, it's a level of complexity. Although that's good and it's robust, I think I'm going to stick with the forks just because they are relatively simple, but I'm going to modify the way that they are held so that ultimately less steel in them, still as strong, less steel in them, and hopefully do the job. And here again is because it's slightly wider, this frame than the previous one. It was pretty tight, mounting shock absorbers last time. It looks even tighter this time, so I'm going to have a little bit of work cut out there, but we'll figure that one out. So overall, you know, the frame is coming together, and the next step really will be making the wishbones at the front, which will carry the hubs, and these are the hubs, same hubs as I used before. They are a little heavy, mainly this section here is quite thick. You can see it's 4 or 5 centimeters. So I'll probably look to see if I take some weight out of those. Probably to again make it a little bit like a cauliflower colander even. Make it look like a colander. Lots of holes in, and that'll take a bunch of weight out. I could go for wheels with bearing inserts, but if I do that, then I've got to change the wheels, and the wheels have really held up well in the racing, and I've got quite a collection of them now, so I'm not keen on changing those. So the next step is onto the wishbones.